Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Transfer Portal CFB YouTube video presented by NoContextCFB. I'm your host, Dylan Ruben King, and thank you so much for joining us again. I am joined by Fordham quarterback Tim DeMorat. Tim, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Of course, first I have to congratulate you on an incredible individual year, which culminated in, you shattering tons of records. You're a finalist for the Walter Payton Award. You're going to be there in person, to be a part of that honor. What was your reaction to hearing the news that you're going to be one of the top three? And, what does it feel like to be recognized as one of the three best offensive players in the FCS?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an honor, the company that I'm with, those guys, with the seasons they had. I'm thankful for, my coaches, Coach Decker, my offensive coordinator, and the rest of those guys, helping put me in that position. And, it was just with my teammates, it was a really fun season. I think, now that's over, we look back at what we did offensively, and it was a great season, a lot of fun. And I'm definitely honored to be in that top three for sure.
What were some of your individual goals coming into this season, and do you feel like you met those or exceeded those even?
Yeah, I really try not to I didn't really focus on getting any individual goals. I just, wanted to focus on winning games, doing the best I could do for my team. But obviously, having the all-time Patriot League passing yards and touchdowns was pretty cool. But no, I didn't think, obviously I thought we were going to have a great season, but, obviously things got a little crazy, and you start looking at the stats. You're like, wow, you got a lot of touchdown passes. But no, I mean, I didn't have any goals going into the season, but it was definitely fun when you look back at it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to think of a Fordham passing record that you don't own at this point. Completions, passing yards, touchdowns, and also you mentioned that the Patriot League career records. What does it mean to you to have your name atop the record books in those categories, likely for a while? I mean, you're a starter for 5 years.
Yeah, it means a lot to have that. Fordham's been around for a long time, so just have my name in there with guys like John Skelton, who had a little NFL career there. It's definitely an honor, and I'm definitely proud to be up there for sure.
I know it ended with a loss in the first round, but how important was it for you to lead this program to its first playoff appearance in 7 years, especially to do it in your fifth and final season, after you guys had a couple losing seasons when you first got there?
Yeah, that meant everything. Getting to the playoffs, that was a goal that everybody wanted to do on the team, that we said that we were going to do at the beginning of the season. And yeah, like you said, my early on in my Fordham career, freshman, sophomore year, to where the program is now is definitely night and day. So me and the seniors there feel happy with what we've done, and the culture that we kind of built there, and the place where we left it. Going from winning 2 games to winning 9 games is definitely special.
You mentioned earlier the amount of points that you guys had, the touchdowns, the yards. You guys had probably one of the top 2 or 3 offenses in the FCS this year, scored at least 40 in every game. You had, so many weapons like Fotis Kokisolis, DeKeys Carter, MJ Wright, also had a 1,000-yard rusher, which, to lead the FCS in passing and then have a 1,000-yard rusher too, it's just unheard of. How fun was it to be a part of an offense like that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's crazy to have 3 1,000-yard receivers in one season in itself is pretty crazy. Then you add a 1,000-yard rusher, almost 2,000-yard rushers. But I mean, it just goes to show you how the weapons that I had made it so much easier for me. Those guys, like you said, MJ, Fotis, DeKeys, they're always open. So I just got to give them the ball, and we have a great run game like we did. It definitely made my life a lot easier. And it was, sometimes it's hard just to give everybody the ball, because everybody's doing so good. Everybody wants the ball, but those guys were special to play with. I'm gonna miss playing with them, and then it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit more. Just what was it about this group in this year that clicked so well for you?
Yeah, well, I think it's, Coach Decker in that offense. It was kind of like our second year running it. We kind of last season, 2021, we started to kind of catch on later in the season. And so we kind of worked on it in the spring and camp, and we all just gelled together. And a lot of us were seniors. We've played together for 3, 4 years. So it's kind of just like the accumulation of all of that, trusting each other, the confidence that I had with the receivers, running back. So everybody was just on the same page. It was a veteran group, and it kind of just, the stars kind of aligned for this season to be special.
You told me, before we hopped on that you're from Florida, which is where you're at right now. I'm curious what brought you to New York City and to Fordham, as coming out of high school. What was it about this program that persuaded you to want to call it your home?
Yeah, I mean, Fordham was great when I took the visits and things there. I really loved the place, but they were also the first and really only school to offer me. So I was very one of those under recruited guys at a high school. Um, that's why I'm forever grateful for Fordham for offering me and giving me an opportunity to play there. And I kind of coaches believed in me, teammates, we believed in each other, and I kind of used that as like a chip on my shoulder. I still do that, having one offer from an FCS program out of high school. But yeah, Fordham's been great to me. It's a great program. Gonna miss it for sure.
What was it like being so under recruited out of high school? Because you hear sometimes stories of guys, sending out their highlight reels to coaches, all over the country. Was that something that you had to do? Like, what was it like getting to that point?
Yeah. I mean, you'd make your huddle highlight, I think it was in high school, and you put it on Twitter, and your high school coaches would talk to guys, but I wasn't, sending my highlights to every school out there. It's kind of like I'm sure a lot of guys go through. I talked to a lot of schools, some bigger schools, some smaller schools, but it kind of, never really got offers. And then Fordham, called me one day and took a visit there, and they gave me an offer. So yeah, high school recruiting, it can be fun, it cannot be fun, but I'm glad I don't have to go through that again for sure.
Absolutely. For someone that's going through that right now and doesn't have a lot of offers like you did several years ago, what advice would you have for them? And in the world that today is with college football, with the NIL and the transfer portal, all that stuff, like how different is it now compared to what you went through a few years ago?
Yeah, well, it's different because a lot of recruiting, more so at bigger like FBS schools. A lot of guys, they seems like they go to the portal and stuff instead of getting guys out of high school, which some schools kind of do. But I would say advice I would give would be just, just focus on your high school, putting the best film out there. I think that's what I try to do. Because the film speaks for itself. You don't have to worry about trying to go to 1,000 camps or get all those stars and all that stuff. I think it's just, and whatever school offers you, you should be appreciative of that. It doesn't matter if it's FBS, FCS, Division 2, Division 3. If a school gives you an opportunity, then you can make the most of it wherever you're at. So
Definitely. And college football media, they like to decide what's best for players these days. We're guilty of it too. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. But
yeah,
nowadays with the way of the college football world, we're almost asking guys why they didn't enter the portal at this point and find another route. Um, and nowadays there aren't a lot of guys that spend 5 years at one program. So for you, why did you stick it out at Fordham for so long? And was the portal ever something you considered?
yeah. So it was last year was my senior year, and if I would to go in the portal, it probably would have been for this 5th year. But I think it was knowing what we were going to do this year with Coach Decker, the whole coaching staff, DeKeese, MJ Fotis, Trey, Julius, all those running backs, the whole group coming back. I think that we all knew that we could do something special. So everybody was kind of on the same page. Like, we're not going to leave. We're all going to stay here and finish this thing out and have, a special season. So I think, when you had the guys like that, it was kind of a no brainer for me and the rest of the guys to want to come back and finish it out the right way at Fordham.
I respect that absolutely. And one part of your game that, I have so much respect for and I thought really blossomed this season was your poise in clutch moments and in high pressure game on the line situations. I feel like most people will probably ask, how do you do it? What's your secret and all that stuff? But I'm more curious as to, since you've been a starting quarterback really since your freshman year, how has that clutch gene evolved from year to year?
Yeah, I think it's definitely evolved. I've always thought that I've kind of had that, clutch gene. I like to be in those situations. There's a couple times in my sophomore season where I had a few like final drive, fourth down, drives. But yeah, I just I love to be in those moments. I feel like the higher the pressure, the more of a, oh, we have to score in this drive. It's, fourth quarter. That's where I like to thrive in. And, you kind of just trusting your teammates. They make great plays for me, trusting the coaches. But yeah, I love to be in those high pressure situations. I feel like that's when I play my best, throw my best balls.
Sure, that definitely speaks for itself. Watching the tape from this season, especially, but throughout your career, you're one of the young. You're the youngest of four siblings. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
And one of your brothers is a professional golfer, Mickey. And so, growing up, how competitive were you and your siblings? And does that athletic gene run in your family?
Yeah, I mean, my brother's he's in the military. My sister was, she's a good golf and tennis player in high school. Then my brother, obviously, um, my dad played baseball in college, so I think it's always me and my brothers are always competitive. Fighting whether it's playing basketball in the streets with the neighbors, whether it's playing board games or anything like that. We're always been competing, fighting with each other, stuff like that. So I think growing up with brothers that are also ultra competitive, it helps you um, learn to compete, learn to try and win in situations. So yeah, I definitely would attest some of that competitiveness to my family and upbringing.
Who's the best athlete in your family?
Best athlete, I'd have to say myself. I have to go myself. My brother's in the military might be the most. He's probably the strongest and probably the most gifted strength wise. But I think I can do it all. Although my golf brothers, he's kind of one of those guys that's good at everything. He can play, tennis, ping pong, all that. But I'd have to go with myself.
For sure. I'm really curious as to what's next for you. You finished up your fifth and final season at Fordham. Is the NFL a goal for you, or do you have something else in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to play in the NFL, so I'm going to train for that in January. Yeah, and see what happens with that. But definitely want to train and have a shot at the NFL.
Absolutely. What's the what was the mindset coming into this season before at the end of last season? Was it something you considered then as well, or did you, as you mentioned, you wanted that one last year, you knew what was coming? Was it a no-brainer to come back?
Yeah, the NFL was absolutely, always on my mind, since I've, been a kid. So that was never, it didn't just pop into me because I was having a good season this year. Last season I wanted to play in the NFL, and then I just wanted to continue this season, have the best season I can to give myself a chance at that. But yeah, no, it's always been the goal. It's always been the dream. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you won, back-to-back Patriot League Players of the Year, coming into this season, and it felt like you had a resume enough back then to go into the league, and then, now you had a historic career and a historic season rather, and led the FCS and passing yards. And I was with the transfer portal, I was making those graphics every week of the Division I passing leaders, and
Yeah.
I feel like I never had to move your picture from first place, so that was definitely fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate those. I mean, my friends and family would always be sending me those. Just it's cool to compare with the FBS and FCS guys together.
For sure. And Fotis was on there quite a bit for most of the season as well, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
I'm curious since, as a quarterback, since I've got you here, I'm curious to hear your take on this because you want to be in the NFL. There's a chance that, at some point in your career that you'll be a starting quarterback and people will look up to learn more about you. As in the last couple of years, we've seen quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, who just like light up the NFL in their first year. And it feels like they're setting the bar really high for rookie quarterbacks to where, if they don't tear up the league in the first couple of years, they're almost written off in the case of like Josh Rosen, Johnny Manziel. Do you think outliers like the guys I mentioned set the bar a little too high for young quarterbacks coming into the league?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys like Josh, like you said, you mentioned those top like 1% of quarterbacks there ever is, like top 5% of the NFL. But I mean, yeah, the bar is always high in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran or a first year rookie. It's the best of the best. So you got to perform high, or they're going to find somebody else. But I don't think that's something that guys really think about in the NFL. They want to try and go out there and do their best. But yeah, like you said, those guys do set the bar high, and there's a short lease in the NFL because it's a business at the end of the day. But yeah, 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter where you come from. At this point, you got guys like Bailey Zappi, who was an FCS star and transferred to Western Kentucky. He got some starts in the NFL. You got Brock Purdy now, who is Mr. Irrelevant. Now he's the guy for the 49ers. So, for any NFL draft scouts, analysts, or down the line fans, and maybe you're their starting quarterback, what do you want to say to them to help them get to know you as a player and as a person?
Um, it's a good question. Honestly, just I have to think about it, but I think I belong out there, and I think I've you know done everything I can do to give myself a chance. I'd have to show them, and whether it's pro day, combine, and all that sort of thing, to let them see me up close and see what they think. But obviously, I think that I'm got the skills. I've got the mental part of the game that I believe in myself. So I definitely think I'm good enough to go out there and compete with the best of the best.
This is a very top-heavy quarterback draft class, and there's a lot of talent throughout as well. But there's going to be definitely some guys that take the cake at the top that are going to get all the headlines. But what do you think separates you as a quarterback from maybe some other quarterbacks in the draft class?
Um, I think I'm pretty accurate. I'm accurate with football. I like to know what's going on with the defenses, kind of know where my outlets are, check downs, things like that. So I think I'm pretty accurate, and I kind of like to know what's going on. So I know what's going on out there with the defense and things like that. So I think those are my IQ and accuracy. I think are my probably top two.
For sure. I was speaking of Johnny Manziel in one of the last questions. I saw on Twitter that you were at a camp several years ago with Johnny Manziel. What was that experience like, and what did you take away from that?
Oh yeah, it was like one of those Nike Spark regional kind of camps, and I saw him for like 1 second. He was walking out there. I think he was just in Miami doing some workouts or something. But no, it was cool to see him up close. He threw a couple balls. I didn't really get to say anything to him, but it was definitely cool to see him up close in person.
For sure. Now, I want to finish this up with a segment that we like to do called Pick Six, where we ask six rapid fire questions to help people get to know you. So, first one, and it's anything from, more things about you to football stuff in general. The first one I'm curious about, and we always ask this, is favorite fast food restaurant?
Wendy's.
Oh, that's a good one. What's your go-to order?
Probably get a baconator. I like the spicy nuggets too, and a frosty, something like that.
You are a man of taste. That's like almost exactly what I would get at a Wendy's. Good call. If you could have dinner with three athletes, living or dead, who would they be?
Three athletes. Phew, that's a tough one. Probably Kobe Bryant, one of them. Um, Tom Brady. Talk about some QB stuff, and Tiger Woods, just because he's like the best golfer of all time, and he's got that crazy work ethic. I like to see what he's about. So
You're definitely, I don't know if you can see that back there, but you're definitely definitely putting down some good answers here that I'm agreeing with. Do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
I do not. I kind of like to keep the same routine, go out in the field early, come back, but I'll listen to whatever music. I'll switch it up between, hip hop, country, stuff like that. But no rituals, no superstitions. Just kind of try and keep it loose in the locker room with the guys.
Favorite football movie?
Favorite football movie? I would say, gosh, it's got to be between. I'm trying to think of the one that I watched one the other day. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But I mean, I probably have to go with just Remember the Titans. Probably. I mean, it's a classic. We watch all the time as a football team. I think it's a good one.
Right on. Here's a situational scenario. You're in overtime. Your opponent scores a touchdown first after getting the ball first. Fourth down at the opponent's 25-yard line. You need one play to tie the game. You can pick any receiver in history to throw the ball to. Who are you throwing to, and what route are you giving them?
It was what yard line was it on?
Opponent's 25 and fourth down. So you got one play.
Probably throw up a fade. I'd probably try and get Calvin Johnson by himself, and I'd throw up a jump ball to him. Hopefully, he goes up and get it.
Definitely can't go wrong with that. As a Packers fan, I definitely know that definitely works 9 times out of 10. And lastly, since your goal is the NFL, and we definitely see that in your future, we would like to ask guys, when you get that opportunity, how would you like to give back to the community?
Yeah, if I ever got a lot of money, which would be nice, but I'd also give back to the community. I'd give back to probably like my parents first, give them something. But yeah, help the local youth, kids. I love being around kids, helping them out, learn the game of football. Anything I could really do, I would definitely be willing to give back to the community, because that's the most important at the end of the day. So yeah, I have to think about it, but I'd be down for a lot of things.
100%. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining me, man. Congratulations again on an incredible season. Where can fans follow you on social?
I think my Twitter, Instagram is just Tim DeMorat, so can't miss it.
Well, thank you, Tim, once again for joining me, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.
Thanks a lot.